Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. We're having a great morning so far because we certainly are. It's Tobago Thursdays and we're going to continue our Tobago Carnival review as we check in with the band leaders and promoters in the form of interim president of the Tobago October Carnival Association, Mr. Dexter Sandy. Good morning, Mr. Sandy.
Hi, morning. How are you? Welcome.
So far so good. How are you?
I am great. Recovering, slowly but surely, almost there.
All right.
Yeah.
How would you rate the experience of Tobago Carnival 2023?
Excellent. 10 out of 10. 100 out of 100. Fabulous experience on the road. The bands, we really executed. I must say that TOCA as an organization, and we had a couple of objectives, and I think the objectives were met in terms of, one, we wanted a change in the route for the carnival. And the Tobago House of Assembly, they worked with us on that recommendation. And we really saw where Scarborough really worked coming along the waterfront in the evening time on the Sunday, the period of the bands. We saw where Scarborough worked for Juve. It handled the larger capacity crowd for Juve. We also instituted a cluster system for the bands, because last year we had small bands, medium-sized bands, large bands, all operating individually behind music trucks. And for the smaller bands, putting 30, 40 people behind a truck, it wasn't really good for optics. So we did a cluster system, and we saw bands pooling resources this year and sharing music trucks, drink trailers, even wee trucks. And it really worked out financially, I would say, for the bands that did that, as well as the optics. When you saw bands behind a truck, you saw hundreds of people behind a truck rather than just 30 or 40.
Yeah. Tell me what led to that decision, because it's interesting that you say that, pooling resources together for different bands coming together is not something that, Carnival is known for usually. So tell me what inspired that decision, and how did the band leaders take to it when it was first brought up?
So last year, the first year for Carnival, on the road, the comments and feedback we got after is that Scarborough was a truck fest. And when I say a truck fest, we had over, I think it was like about 20, 22 trucks on the road. And so there was an oversupply of trucks versus the number of masqueraders on the road. And based on the road network in Scarborough, that would have been a lot of congestion. So we decided, you know what, let's try and reduce the number of trucks. However, we're going to still maintain the standard of 40-foot trailers, right? But cluster the bands together so that we maximize the power and the strength of a 40-foot trailer. 40-foot trailer usually supports 600-700 masqueraders at a time. Yeah, and in Tobago, based on the size of the bands, that could easily be 2 or 3 bands put together. So we decided, let's try that this time around, and it really worked.
Nice. That's fantastic to hear. In terms of the route, you mentioned, Scarborough working better than the route from last year. How did it work in terms of people accessing places like the port or anything like that? Anything that was necessary during the celebration?
Well, leading up to the celebrations, we would have been integral in the meetings being held by the Toronto Police Service, hosted by the Gold Commander, ACP Hazel. And he really made sure that the band leaders, the Port Authority, TNTech, B-Mobile, everybody was on board in terms of logistics and what we want to see happening on the road. So in terms of, we had a defined plan for traffic management for persons that needed to utilize the port. They would have used Upper Scarborough, whereas the bands were down at Lower Scarborough. There were different access points for spectators to now come into Scarborough at particular times to be able to get to the Vantage viewpoint and take in the mass. The masqueraders were allowed to park at designated spots, Shore Park Complex for one, and other areas identified. I think it was Bishop's High School as well. So they were able to get in, find the band, and get on the road and enjoy the festivities. And at the end of each day, Saturday and Sunday, people were able to filter out stress-free.
Nice. I love to hear that. Now, Dexter, you mentioned earlier that you're giving it 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100. Does that mean there was nothing that went wrong and there's no room for improvement?
Well, as the head of Toka, I would be biased. but but yes, we did note a couple areas that we would need to improve. In terms of the presentation on the Sunday, we knew that there was traditional mass and there would have been contemporary mass. Two different elements that would have taken two different routes. And between the presentation of both groups, there would have been a time lapse, a little lull. So definitely we know next time we need to have some sort of entertainment package that will take up that probably that 1 hour and 15 minutes gap, which will keep the spectators engaged. I mean, it's something that we have already acknowledged. I know the Tobago House of Assembly themselves have already acknowledged it, and we're ready to sit at the table and kind of, as the information is still fresh in the mind, go through it and let's come up with some level of strategy or plan for next year.
Nice. I love that because you're planning one time for next year, so you let us know the dates and when they're announced and how we can be part of it going forward. Speaking of being part of it, lots of allegations flying around all over the place, and I must throw some bacchanal in here. How much of Tobago's carnival were Trinidad Bandleaders responsible for?
So all the bands that were on the road for Tobago Carnival were headed by Tobagonians.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really like to get into the conversation about this is what Trinidad did, this is what Tobago contributed, right? We are one country. But right. I must say that the band leaders were Tobagonians. Band leaders would have reached out to persons out of Trinidad, yes, who have a lot of history and skills in producing mass. So I can speak, for example, for my band, Iconic Mass. I had a section designer and leader from Trinidad. I had another one from Grenada. And I had one that was locally from Tobago, right? So actually two from Tobago because we had 4 overall. So I'm saying that I heard a statement earlier by Mr. Peters where he said all the pretty mass came from Trinidad. That's an inaccurate statement. Unfortunately, again, it's an inaccurate statement, right? You have Marslin, Ned and Associates, 100% Tobagonian. Mass Camp in Scarborough, she built her costumes, she designed her costumes, she made her costumes 100% in Tobago, right? I could name out quite a few other bands, for example, Fog Angels,
Let me jump in here, Dexter. I don't want you to go through all the bands. I don't think we have time for that. But I really wanted to make sure that we cleared up that aspect of things to make sure that you got your point in as well. And I thank you so much for joining us this morning and for sharing with us. Congratulations to you and the entire team at Toka. And we look forward to what you guys will be doing next year and how we can be a part of it again.
Sure. Great.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for joining us. Take care.
Take care.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we get ready to wrap up the show for today. We are having a great time as we did this morning, and we'll continue to do so for the rest of the week. Ayinka Will, Natasha Lake, and the entire team at TTT. Any comments before we go, ladies?
What a wonderful morning.
All right, so I want to encourage each and every one of you to go out there and make a difference today now, because together we aspire, and if together we perspire, then together we most definitely can achieve. On behalf of these beautiful ladies and the entire team here at TTT, I wish you a fantastic Thursday. Tobago, we love you. Thank you so much for celebrating with us today, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more celebration here on the Now Morning Show. Take care. We have news at the top of the hour.